Hey everyone, so timber framing begins for the top workshop. So the top workshop is designed to have a square timber frame in the middle with a small pitched roof, and that design is so that you can lift something tall into it, i.e. a van. Now the whole workshop is compromised for doing specific things, like it's not fully designed for working on cars, but I want to be able to. So there's a frame in the middle to give the roof extra height, and that keeps the wall height a lot lower. That's what we're doing. It's timber frame, roundwood, and yeah, cut these about 2 years ago now. They've been sitting around, so it's good to get them off the ground now and get them in. So for the next like 2-3 weeks at least, be doing this timber frame. It's all going to be pegged and mortise and tenoned and wind braced and the lot. So yeah, let's get to work. Right, so this is just a rough little model of what we're building. It's to scale and everything, but obviously it's going to be around wood and it's going to look a bit different to that, but it's all to a scale and we can use it to visualise the order in which things go together. So we've just done 4 posts, tenon in the end, so the next thing to do is we're going to make these pieces tenon in each end. We'll lay out the mortise in here, and then we'll cut that out. And then the tie beam is going to sit on here. A flat spot will sit against this flat, so that the tenon isn't taking the strain of the roof logs. The whole beam is sitting on this face here, including the tenon. So I've got my string line back in place, my original reference points. Now I'm going to mark that centre line across there off of these, so I can square off this, because I've now referenced this to this. So now I'm going to square off onto here, join those lines, and then I'll work off of that centre line to lay out the mortise. my string line reference again. Right, and there is our mortise laid out. So all of this is going to be removed. Right, now I'm just installing this little jig that I made a while ago. I'm just using some wedges and things under it, trying to get this level as well. There we go. You end up leaving some holes in the timber, but small price to pay to not have to do it by hand. So I can now move this because I've got all my references, that's cut out. This will need some fine tuning to fit the other piece to it, but that will basically get us started. The next thing to do would be test fit that, but I might do the other one as well first, then we'll do some test fitting all together. Forgot to drill my peg hole. It doesn't matter where they are really, because they're all going to be a custom fit, so I can just like randomly choose them as long as they look right. As long as they go in straight and are in the middle of the tenon, they're going to be just fine.
What do you want to do?
Hook, bang!
Okay.
And just drop.
Yeah, you're having a laugh. Okay, Chris is...
Do you want the big boy to do it?
No.
There we go.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to get it out.
No.
I was like, you
Donkey
used a
like
crowbar
that.
before.
And again, one more. Done, bottomed out, perfect. So we've got our first tenon fitting on all sides, and the flat spot at the bottom of the log. So we're using the whole diameter of the log as load bearing. So now I need to mark the peg hole. By running an auger bit through it. Right, so the tenon's back out. We've got our mark that we made. Now that's the point there. I'll come 4mm towards the shoulder, offset. And then block of wood or something. Right, just seeing about doing a test fit on this other one. This notch is going to have to be changed yet. It's just cut roughly to size. Yeah, let's just get this together, see if it'll go. Pretty tight fit. Right, so we're pretty close. I think the tenon's going to go in okay. We just need to notch that out a little bit more. And I mean, this is just the tiniest little bit off of there. Still a tiny gap there. Why have we still got a tiny gap there? Oh, that's pretty close now. I think with a bit of draw pegging, that'll be alright. Close now. Exactly right. Nice. Perfect. So if we just take the next piece off this same tree, the other side, the curve will give us clearance. Right, so this is one part of our frame set up. It's all squared off, and now it's ready for some bracing. Now, normally with Roundwood, I've sort of cheated with the bracing, I suppose, and that is I put the bracing into a housing and then use a big screw to go into it that holds it. And that is actually really sufficiently strong, like surprisingly strong, because the screw kind of acts as a tenon. But I think I'd like to have a go at doing it properly with mortised wind braces. Now, as far as educational content around doing these is concerned, it's almost non-existent. The only source really for it that I can find is Ben Law, his books and YouTube videos, and it doesn't go into sufficient detail really. So I'm trying to piece together a good way of doing it, and I'm going to have a go at figuring that out and then giving that information to you lot. So it's basically using jigs, and we're going to try using those jigs to create mortised housed wind braces in Roundwood. And I'm going to take you along the way, my journey as I do it. It involves basically what I showed you at the start of this video, so stringing out a post just like this so we can create references, and then putting a jig between the posts to get a distance set, and then using that distance then set another jig to cut a wind brace within. It will all become clear, well, as it becomes clear to me. Right, let's get on with it. So doing something like this is entirely possible by just going backwards and forwards, just taking very small amounts off at a time, and just lots of fitting, taking the thing on and off, and just taking ages. But instead of doing that, you can use jigs. So here's one. I actually made these like about a year ago in preparation for this. So this is going to be a Jig To Mark Mortises. You can go between two flat spots on the frame and mark out the mortises. This is the mortise size. And then the other half of it is this. This is taken from Ben Law's books. This jig, now a piece of round wood, can go through this jig, 45-degree sides means that we can cut 45-degree ends or shoulders in some round wood. So I made those a while ago. It's pretty simple, you can figure it out yourself making that. But yeah, we're going to see about how to use that. The first step, as with all round wood, is to get some form of reference. We have a reference with a jig for the shoulders, but we don't have a reference for the making the tenons concentric to each other through the timber. So we have to lay it out as normal for that using a string. Currently Sam is doing that now. Let's go and see that.
Okay, do the honours. Get a big old whip. Like that.
Is that visible? Yeah. Yep. Right, let's make some flat spots. Not too deep to start with. Yeah, it would be easier to make these if I took these apart and flipped them over, but I want to keep them as they are for now because they're all set up nice and square.
Oh, cool.
Right, so you have to excuse that I didn't film this because I'm learning as I go here. So just cut this out in the jig. Did it quite quick, didn't film it because I was questioning whether or not I was doing things right. And it's right, it looks like it's going to fit with a little bit of fine tuning. So I think I've got the process down now, so we shall film the next one, cutting one of these out. So I'm just doing the flats that I showed on the camera on the other side. And once we've got all the flats done, these two cut, we shall then take all this apart because we don't want to move it yet because it's a reference point. We'll take it all apart and then we'll fine tune these and then do the peg holes and whatever else. But yeah, it looks like we're going to get this done. So we'll put the piece of timber in the box in the orientation that we want it. So in this example, curve is going up to give us more space through it. So this is curving up through here. We've got a string line set out, shows us the line through the centre of the timber, gives us something we can measure off of. First thing I need to do is cut the ends off. at the same angle as this, the length of the tenon I want, and then that will give us enough material there for the tenon, but mean we're not having to make a tenon out of all this waste. Right, so now it's all fixed in place. We've got a line going through the middle of it all the way along. I'm measuring the tenon thickness off of that line. Do an inch, 2-inch tenon, inch. Join the two lines up, and they should be relatively parallel. Oops. This isn't like joinery accuracy type stuff. It just gets you very close, and then there's a bit of a fitting afterwards for shoulders and stuff, but gets you a lot closer, a lot quicker than if you were to try and just make this. Yeah. Now we can transfer those round to there. So now at that stage where I've got this face cut mostly to this angle, this material here for the tenon, I've got the tenon thickness marked down, referenced off of this string line which goes all the way to the other end, centre of the log on the other end. I can now use this. Oh, hang on. No, I can't. I need to adapt the box. Hang on. Right, now they're done on both sides, we can, hang on, we can cut them off along there, 90 degrees to that. Cut them off because we don't need that. So there's the wind brace, kind of part way through construction, laid out the centre line, faces cut, tenons cut into it, and then we shall cut those off as the bearing surface. We just want to check it looks like it's going to fit first before we go cutting too much off. Yeah, I think we've actually done it right, although one of us has cut a quite a much thicker tenon than the other. But yeah, I think me. So there she is, lined up. So she will sit there. I'm a bit concerned because I think it's just a tiny bit too short, unfortunately, but I'm still learning this. But I think it might just be okay, but it's borderline. But if we have to do it again, do it again. It's going to look lovely, right? Right, first test fit. I actually haven't test fitted this yet. This is genuinely the first test fit. Looks pretty close. Right, second try. Hello my dear, you right? Right, that'll go. Let's see. Little tappy tap tap. Right, I am well happy with that. That is really nice. Look at the curve. It's going to look so cool. Look at the shoulder. Ha ha! Well chuffed with that. Right, so the other side. Every piece of it. Tight.
Whoa.
How are we looking up here?
Chin on the shoulder.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's going to go. That leg needs to go over there. Nudging. Right, so that is that frame done and dusted. Not bad at all for the first time doing them. The pegs and holes are marked and everything. I just need to take them out, bore them offset. They'll draw peg. Gaps are pretty minuscule considering there is the odd one, but for a first attempt, not too bad. Those ones are good. Yeah, overall, really quite pleased with that. So we learnt something doing that. Yeah. So we will put that frame now to the side and start working on the other end of it, which is the back wall part of it, or the back piece. Same thing again, basically, and then we'll do the long sides. Yeah, that came out awesome. Excellent. It's not easy, it takes a long time. There's a good 3-4 days working in that so far. But yeah, come out well. Right, we'll carry on. Right, hey everyone, so it's the next day. I'm starting the second frame, the back wall, and I'm just mortising out for the tie beam that ties the two halves together. Just using the mortising machine on this jig. Basically just makes a square on a round timber. You can use a ratchet strap or something, but this is good to get them all leveled up. Yeah, people seem to like this machine, so I thought I'd show it. Right, so I've got the back frame pushed up together, strapped together, marked up, ready for draw pegs. Gaps pretty nice, or lack of gaps I should say. And it's all sitting nice and square. Happy, so when I take that apart I'll do the offset holes. But now I'm marking out for the wind braces, just doing the same as last time. Create some flats, put the jig between it, transfer the measurement from the jig to the box, like a mitre box, and then we make the wind braces, fit them between, and then do minor adjustments afterwards. As far as like lining this up in the right spot, now I could do a string line across from my original reference points and then mark my mortise off of that, but I don't really feel the need. I'm quite happy to just put these in where it feels right on the post and then mark them there. Because that definitely wants to go down more. So that's about the point that mortise would want to be. And same with that wants to go down more. It's pretty good there. That's gonna be. I'm going to go through this again just because it is a complicated process really, and you know it's not going to hurt to film it doing it twice for anyone trying to learn. So I'm learning as I do it anyway. So we choose a centre. I don't want to hold it too tight because then it won't go down into the grooves. So now we've got this chalk line here. See, it follows a line that you'd never think was the centre. It's the thing, it's why you have to do it. So they have a tendency of rubbing off, so I'm going to colour that in pencil so I don't lose it. Now we've got to transfer that line over to the other side, so dangle the string off of that line Mark that other side, preferably without moving it. Right, string line this side. Sorry, chalk line this side. In there. Right, so that's all lined up now. So I know the end of these comes to the end of my flats on the frame. I'm lining the end of them up with the extreme point of this. Same on the other side. Now I'm going to fix this into the box, exactly that position, and then cut these 45s off of this. So I've cut the ends off at the angle, match the angle, measured over 100mm, size of the tenon. Now I shall mark up from my line. It's 2-inch tenon. Mark up from my line inch and inch, join them up, same on each side, and we'll cut all that out. Now I've got my lines. Just cut these out. It's still very difficult to make these with these jigs. It's just quite a bit easier. But it is a difficult thing to do, I can assure you. If you're thinking of just trying to do this, it's taken me quite a few years to get my woodwork to a level where I'm able to do this. I think I'd spent quite a long time yesterday messing around with the shoulders and stuff because they're a little bit odd, a little bit different. I think it's because this moved in the box while I hit this side off. So this time I'm going to get all my cuts done before I start hammering on it. So as far as these are concerned, I'm going to leave them slightly long for now, just in case, because they're easy to trim down, or the mortise they sit in is easy to make longer. I can't add any more on. And there we go, beautiful curved roundwood wind brace in larch. So now I take that up to the top, check it for fit, do the mortises, and then fine tune, and then do the other side. Looking at a couple of days really, just do these at the moment because I'm a bit new to them. Right, so frame number 2, so that is the frame for the back wall, is now done. Gaps aren't as good on this one, I mean, or lack of gaps, hang on, so I'll show you. So, not bad, I mean, well acceptable, but yeah, not as good as the first one, but the first one was at the front anyway, so that's good. Still really pleased with it. a difficult thing to do this. Yeah, pretty pleased. Yeah, that's going to come apart now, have the holes drilled, and then we shall be doing the long pieces which tie those two frames together, and that is going to be in the next video. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.